So let me just get this thing loaded up, this computer here. I have a statement I want to make, actually. I want to begin with a statement. Some important things have come up. Okay, so this is my statement. I wrote it on the train tonight. I wrote it while riding the L train, while shaking in my boots, while full of fear and shame and disgust at myself. This is an apology, basically, for gathering you all here with the promise of original content, something enlightening and worth your while, because I can't do what I came here to do. I don't have the material I promised to bring. I have failed. So first I have to apologize to Triple Canopy because I've really screwed up tonight. I also have to apologize to Grim Artisanal Ales, Narragansett Brewing Company, and Zev Rovine Selections. I'm so embarrassed. I actually feel like I'm gonna black out. Maybe I blacked out already because I see stars. I feel stars, but I'm no star. I'm a stone cold loser tonight. After what we just heard, how was I ever really, honestly, supposed to follow that act? I think I set up a lecture on war, destruction, and the foundations of life by feminist scholar and activist Silvia Federici, followed by a conversation with critic Yasmina Price, a reflection on AI and the myth of creativity with writer Hari Kunzru and researcher Kay Crawford, a discussion about the twilight of the culture industry with the musician and labor organizer Joey Leneve de Francesco, philosopher Lydia Gore, film critic A.S. Hamra, and filmmaker Blair McClendron, an illustrated lecture on the Survivor franchise and the romance of indigeneity by artist and filmmaker Sky Hopinka, and performances by Farah Al-Qasimi and Anvo with Jessica Pavone, the channel Spirit Possession, co-presented with Roulette. So I know you're probably saying, like, why are you apologizing, James? It can't be that bad. You say, even if you don't have any material, you have something of value, right? Something intrinsic and special that makes you, you. I mean, look at you, right, James? They invited you here, but not quite. I'm not an actor, I'm not a performer. I'm hardly an artist as far as the art market is concerned. And I'm not even sure if I'm a screenwriter at this point in my life. I'm just a cis-het lunkhead flailing on stage here, a total imposter. Well, you're probably thinking, at least you're biracial. Maybe you can talk about that. Maybe you can wax poetic about Kamala Harris and the election around the corner, reflecting on the good old days when you got called Obama every day and whether those days are coming back or gone forever, and what it means to be a medium or like a medium man that people look to for interpretive guidance and validation for something as simple as how you look. No, that cottage industry is all dried up. I'm terrified, frankly, of November 5th. All that's going on in the world, you don't need to hear from me about that. See, what I realized tonight, shitting my pants on the L train, is something important about myself. I realized that I'm triracial, as in I tried to win the race, and I failed. I also have to apologize to my actorly colleagues around the table here. They're expecting something straightforward and easy with a quick payday. They might burnish their reputations as cultural crossover types, like young Tilda Swinton's in the making, maybe an A24 movie on the horizon. But I can't even provide that accommodation. Now they're looking at me like I'm an idiot. I'm probably voiding their SAG-AFTRA obligations. I'm tanking their star meter on IMDB Pro. Now they'll never get represented by a CIA or UTI or WWE. All they're getting is $500, right? With taxes deducted.
It's 400.
Oh boy. Okay, I feel like I'm wasting your time. Plain and simple, you came here for a reading, but I can't read the screenplay we were all expecting, so tonight is definitely going to be a major bummer. You see, earlier today I received a text message from my lawyer. You have a lawyer, you're probably wondering. Yes, James is a lawyer. He has two, actually. There's parents. The text message said, don't do it, and you'll be exposing yourself to great libations. I assume libations was autocorrect for liabilities via my drunk dad. But honestly, that's what a symposium is, right? Like back in ancient Greece, it's a drinking party. So drunken mistakes. This is the deal. I did a bad thing, an unforgivable thing. This is true. I adapted a novel to which I have no rights. A popular novel from 2020 that became wildly more popular, or at least the writer did, way more than I could have ever predicted back then in the hazy COVID era when I did it. And to be honest, setting the author's great talent aside, and despite the fact that he'd been writing for decades, I think he was suddenly discovered to be black. Like someone turned on the light of money and said, wow, he's black. Anyway, to get a real and useful assessment, you'd have to ask an actual critical-minded critic of color who can break it down to the stark blacks and whites. As for me, I got mixed up in a fool's errand. I spent 3 years on a doomed quest, thinking that I was a player, that I had a shot, that I'd be embraced with open arms, but I was wrong. I was out of my league. I wrote a screenplay that can never be mine. You can read about it in the current issue of Triple Canopy, or so I've been told. They haven't published it yet. And maybe they'll never publish it after tonight. Maybe you'll never read anything from my triracial ass again. But here I am speaking to you in the flesh, despite it all. I did have something nice for you planned, a little preview of the screenplay, even if the real thing could never be. But naturally, of course, as it goes, as the world turns, I was informed today by my lawyers, among other blood relations, that to publicly read it would be career suicide. And I've always been very clear that I prefer my career to die of something less messy than suicide, so I took their advice very seriously. Publishing or publicizing an unauthorized adaptation would be viewed by Hollywood as a declaration of war, the theft and subsequent corruption of someone else's property. Even though I never claimed to own the story I adapted, my act of adaptation forces the question of exposure and the potential copying of whatever strains of originality I may have contributed upon the legal rights holders. It's like pooping in someone's garden to fertilize their flowers. It's just not helpful. It creates a mess for everyone. It's an act of passive aggression. When this was explained to me, I immediately understood today in the L train that we can't read what I intended to present, or I'd just be an asshole. So I've assembled you all here for not much. Guys, Betsey, Nile, Jess, the screenplay here, abandon it. We're not going to do this tonight. Tyler? Is Tyler in the audience? Yeah. Can you come up? Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry. Can you just destroy these screenplays? Yeah, just destroy them. Just get them. This is super depressing. Okay. Okay. Actually, just put them this. Just put this up. It's a little loud. It's a little loud. It's Tyler. Okay, there is a silver lining, okay? The good news is that I passed a Kinko's on the way here. I have a soft spot for Kinko's. This is true, once I spent a good half hour photocopying in warm silence next to Steve Buscemi in a Kinko's. It's a good memory. I try to go to Kinko's whenever I can, but Kinko's no longer exists. It hasn't existed for 17 years. I'm like fucking Rip Van Winkle. Must be getting old. Tyler, can you just distribute the photocopies? Thanks. So I got copies of a different screenplay. They're hot off the press. I took it upon myself to see if I could do you all right. It's actually my favorite screenplay. Written in 1989 by Michael Tolkien and produced a few years later, in 1992 by an old master, Robert Altman. It's Tolkien's most famous work, The Player, adapted from his own novel, The Player, 1998. Movement from a novel to a script, multiple scripts, to a movie within 5 short years. See, that is the way to do it. Total control, total authority. It's a story about a film exec who hates writers to his core. That's a story that needs to be told again. This one feels right. Can we do this? Are you okay with doing this instead? Yeah? Okay. This is the earliest draft that I could find. It's from 1989. Okay, we're going to do this, right? Reading the first act of The Player by Michael Tolkien. Don't worry, you'll still get paid. Your $400, is it? Yeah. You'll get your artisanal ales, I promise you. I know you can do this because you're actors, and actors have emotional fortitude. So that's good. Okay, so we'll pull it up. Thank you, Tyler. Give us a minute here. Okay, here we go. So this is what I was going to read, but instead we'll read The Player. Regarding permission, everything is still a little sketchy. I didn't exactly get authorization, but I figured the screenplay already had its day, so it'd be okay, and there'd be no pushback. Still, to be safe, in between Jefferson and DeKalb, I emailed the author, Michael Tolkien. He has a website, but I couldn't find his address, so I emailed his daughter. She designed his website. It said, site designed by Emma Tolkien. I figured she'd be more accessible than her dad, who's got to be a millionaire. He wrote Deep Impact, FYI, and thus less likely to write me off as a loser. I told her that I, too, had dabbled in website design for a couple of lawyers, but I haven't heard back. It's a little strange, I guess. Sometimes I wonder if I have a communication problem. Like maybe I take things a little too far. Or I don't have a certain grace. I don't know. Anyway, I never heard back, so it's like, you know what they say. Let's see what they say. They say ask forgiveness, not permission. They say Hollywood is not just a geographical area, but truly a state of mind. And they say my broomstick runs on wine. So yes, I'd like to read the first act of The Player by Michael Tolkien, my favorite screenplay. Are you guys game? Okay, I figured you would be. Okay, Jess.
I'm ready.
Jess, you be Griffin Mill. Nile, you be David Gahane, writer number 1, writer number 3, writer number 5, Ellen Alder, Aaron Jostro, Dick Mellon, Ticket Girl, Griffin VO, and postcard writer. Betsey, you be writer number 2, writer number 4, Jan, Bonnie, Celia Levison, June, pianist, and white man. And I'll read the action. We good?
Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks for being so flexible. Does this work for everyone else? Great. Thank you. Let's do this. The Player. Interior, Griffin's office, day. No introduction, without any setup. We are listening to writer number 1, 28, pitching a story. This is the first of 4.
Here's the idea for the movie. Kevin Costner and Michelle Pfeiffer are cops. He's burned out because his last partner was just killed in a drug bust that went bad. She's his new partner.
Interior, Griffin's office, day. Writer number 2 is about 40, tired looking, anxious, failing.
Kevin Costner and Harrison Ford are brothers. They hate each other. They find a gold mine in Borneo, and that's what the story is, a gold mine. We open on...
Interior, Griffin's office, day. Writer number 3 and 4 are a team. 2 zingy comedy writers. They're bouncing around the room, acting out the story, and as they do, we see the person to whom they're pitching, Griffin Mill, early 30s. He gives nothing away.
Antique shop.
$1 million vase.
Bette Midler.
She drops it.
Shattered. Total loss.
1 million pieces, $1 million.
He looks out the window and we see a soundstage, the door open, and a large camera crane begin titles.
Everybody turns. And what does Bette say?
It's all right. I'm okay.
They throw her out onto the street, right into the guy carrying a big package coming out of another store, and she knocks him down, and who is it? Kevin Costner!
Interior, Griffin's office, day. Writer number 5 is mid-30s, looks like a graduate student, horn-rimmed glasses, neat shirt, jeans, like someone who works at Triple Canopy.
And at the end, he has to choose between Gina, Davis, and Glenn Close. I think he should go with Davis. The smartest thing to do would be to stick with them, to stick money in the budget for 3 endings and let the audience decide. And I think it would be a terrific part for Kevin Costner. That's it.
Griffin appears to be thinking. He takes his time.
Let me get back to you.
You're not saying no?
Let me get back to you.
The writer gets up and Griffin walks him to the door. As the door opens, we see Jan, Griffin's secretary. She's a black woman, early 40s. Her desk is surrounded by owl figurines and owl imagery. As writer number 5 walks out the door, Jan looks up at Griffin.
Good idea?
What idea?
The phone rings.
Griffin Mill's office. 1 moment, please. Adam Silverstein. He's in a meeting. He'll have to call you back.
I'll be back.
Griffin walks down interior studio hall, day. As he walks down the hall, he passes production stills from the movies that made the studio a household name. Oops. Stills from every studio, classic stills from classic movies. Griffin passes secretaries, executives, a few actors in the halls, and everyone defers to him. Everyone is nice to him. He passes into a marked Bonnie Sherrow, story editor. Interior, Bonnie Sherrow's waiting room, day. He pokes his head in and Bonnie's secretary is away from the desk. He opens the door to interior, Bonnie Sherrow's office, day. Bonnie Sherrow, 28, sits behind her desk reading a script. She's stylish, attractive, ambitious, worried about her job, but you only see confidence. She's afraid to show fear.
Lunch, Griffin. I have to finish this in 10 minutes.
I'll pick you up.
I'll meet you.
He leaves and goes back into interior studio all day. He comes to the end of the hall, the president's office. A door opens and he sees Levison, his boss, with a group of corporate officers. Levison frowns at Griffin and closes the door. Levison has 2 secretaries. The one we talk to is Celia.
What's going on, Celia?
Go back to work.
Am I in or am I out?
Griffin.
Exterior, Burbank Studios, New York Street, day. Griffin walking through the New York street, crosses in front of the courthouse. Writer number 5 is on the steps.
So, make up your mind yet?
About what?
The story. I just pitched you the story.
I didn't recognize you without my office.
Writer number 5 kneels on the steps and says strangely,
He used to be a big shot.
Are you all right?
He used to be a big shot. It's the last line of the Roaring Twenties. This studio, 1939. Cagney shot Bogart over there. Bogart's men shot Cagney over there. Cagney came stumbling down the street and died here on this step. And then everyone rushes in, including his old girlfriend. And the cops say, who was he? And she just says, he used to be a big shot. This is a holy spot. They should put up a shrine.
The company bought a cable network. This is where the officers are going.
Figures.
I'll get back to you.
and Griffin turns away from the writer, out of sight, out of mind. End titles. Interior, city restaurant day. Griffin walks in, heads turn subtly. Bonnie is already at a table with other people, agents, lawyers. Aaron Jastrow, Ellen Alder, Steve Marcus, Ginny Clark. Young, focused. Griffin sits down, kisses Bonnie on the cheek.
What do you hear about Larry Levy?
Strictly minor league.
Aaron says he's coming to the studio.
So they say.
And he's over there.
Griffin sees him, Larry Levy, his age, with 2 other men. Levy looks like a contender. Levy's eyes brush Griffin's and betray the coming fight. He knows more than Griffin.
You should have won Columbia when you had the chance.
Can we talk about something other than Hollywood?
God, what would that be?
Exterior, city restaurant day. Bonnie is getting into her car, a BMW. Griffin is behind her. Griffin does not see a postcard stuck under his windshield wiper. On Bonnie and Griffin.
This business.
I like it.
Maybe I'm tired of it.
That's a bad attitude. You can't make it if you create a lot of negative energy for yourself.
See you tomorrow.
She drives off. Griffin goes to his car. He gets in. From inside the car, he can read the postcard.
We had a meeting. I told you my idea and you said you'd get back to me. Well?
He turns on the wiper, brings the card over to his side, and reaches out the window to pluck it off. He turns it over. Paris at night. He puts it in the glove compartment next to 5 other cards that say,
You said you'd get back to me.
Interior, Griffin's office day. Close-up of another postcard, Palm Springs home of the stars, with little shots of Bob Hope's, Sinatra's, Liberace's, Dinah Shore's. Griffin turns the card over, written neatly.
Still waiting.
Griffin, 5 in 2 weeks. Please, Griffin, call studio security.
Right, I'm supposed to call Walter Stuckle. What do I say? Walter, listen, Walter, my job's on the line and some actress is sending me poison pen letters because I didn't give her a job she thinks I promised her. Walter, make me the object of curiosity and ridicule while things are already shaky for me. I think that would really help me get ahead at the studio.
I think they're coming from a writer.
Nah. A writer? Nah.
The phone rings.
Griffin Mill's office. 1 moment. Bonnie Shiro.
Griffin nods. He'll take it.
Just let him get off the line.
Griffin gives her a thumbs up and goes into his office. Interior, Griffin's office day. Griffin picks up the phone. While he's talking, he opens a desk drawer and empties a manila envelope, spilling half a dozen postcards.
Bonnie?
Did we have a date tonight?
Griffin turns the postcards over one at a time. The first one.
You said you'd get back to me.
We did.
The second postcard.
Still waiting.
I'm running late.
The third postcard.
Is it you or is it me?
That's okay. Maybe you can come by later. Anyway, my lawyer wants to have dinner with me.
The fourth and fifth postcards are the same.
You said you'd get back to me.
Griffin, are you there?
I'm in the middle of a meeting. Let me get back to you.
He hangs up. He puts the postcards back in the envelope. Exterior, Spago, night. Griffin drives up in his Mercedes. The valet takes the car. Interior, Spago, night. Everyone knows him. On his way to the maitre d', he glad hands 5 people. We just have to watch him. He's led to a table where Dick Mellon, 70, a tan silver fox, stands to shake hands with him.
You look like shit, Griffin. No Perrier tonight? Have a martini.
I'll have a headache for a week, and don't make fun of me when I order a
Oh,
salad.
you wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes in the old days, Griffin. I was once at the Brown Derby with Bogey when the Duke came in. This was lunch. We didn't leave until 3 in the morning, and I got up and worked the next day.
Griffin loves hearing these stories.
What's going on with my job?
Oh, you are such a stiff. What's going on with my job? What's going on with my job? You know Larry Levy?
I know him. Am I in or am I out?
Think of it as sharing.
Why didn't Levison tell me himself?
Oh, he will tomorrow at breakfast.
I want to run Columbia.
Oh, Griffin, you can't turn back the clock.
Dick, something's going on. I've been getting these postcards.
Who are they from?
Well, I'm not sure exactly, but I think they're from
Who?
some actress. I promised her a job. She's a television actress and she wanted to get in the movies. She's a little too pretty.
Did you fuck her?
Of course I fucked her.
You gotta pay your debts. Now, in the old days, they made a lot of prison movies, and every time they needed a shot of all the wives and girlfriends who'd come to the big house for visiting day, all the producers would have their girlfriends in the shot.
Fade out. Exterior, Bel Air Hotel, day. Griffin gives his card to the valet. He walks over the bridge, looks at the swans. Interior, Bel Air Hotel, restaurant, day. Griffin and Levison at their table. Griffin is ordering from the waiter.
Bran muffin.
The same.
They are awkward for a moment, silent.
I will not work for Larry Levy.
It's not official.
I report to you. I'm not going through Levy. If I have to report to Levy, I quit.
You can't quit. I won't let you quit. You have 1.5 years on your contract, and I will sue you for breach if you don't come every day.
Why do you care?
I like you. I need you. Levy was available, and I thought we could use him. Do you know him?
I know him.
He can make us all look good.
So I'm not the flavor of the month anymore?
Not for 1 year. And with the run of flops we've had, I should be history too, but here I am. If you want to quit, I'll give you a production deal. Maybe you'd like to be a salesman instead of a buyer.
I'll stay.
Interior, Griffin's office, day. Jan hands Griffin a souvenir packet of postcards folded and taped. Griffin opens the cards. The pictures dangle in front of Jan while Griffin reads the message to himself.
Dear Griffin, I told you my idea. You said you wanted to think about it, and you said you'd get back to me.
Read it. Read it.
She grabs for it and he pulls it away with a big happy grin, teasing her, no sign of panic.
It's from the actress. Let me finish it.
My agent said that was a good sign, the part about getting back to me.
Griffin.
I've waited long enough. It's obvious you have no intention of making the movie.
The phone rings.
Griffin Mill's office. Oh, hi, Celia. He's in a meeting right now. He'll call back.
In the name of all the writers in Hollywood who get pushed around by executives who know nothing more about movies than what did well last week and have no passion for the cinema, I'm going to kill you.
Griffin is stunned. Jan hangs up. She turns to him and he composes a sly grin.
Tell all. Now.
Actresses.
He opens and pretends to read.
Dear Griffin, listen, dude, I've just been having fun with you. Had you guessing, didn't I?
Well, that's the truth.
Let me make it up to you and take you out to dinner. I know how hard it is to cross over from TV to film, but I want to try, and I'm not holding you to any drunken promises. Love and kisses.
And then he tortures Jan by folding the card and putting it in his pocket.
Television. Is she a star?
The phone rings. They stare each other down. Jan ignores the phone.
Aren't you going to get that?
What's her name?
Come on, Jan. I could tell you, and it'd be so easy to tell you. But if I tell you, you won't respect me.
A second line rings.
I don't respect you now.
Get the phone.
Griffin Mill's office. One moment, please. Griffin Mill's office. He's in a meeting right now. Can he get back to you?
Griffin dances into his office and closes a door behind him. Interior, Griffin's bedroom, night. Griffin and Bonnie are making love. He comes, she doesn't. They separate. He starts to stroke her with his hand. She shakes her head no.
It's okay.
They lie together quietly.
I heard a pitch today. It's not bad, but I'm stuck on a story point.
I'm the story editor.
New York City, Madison Avenue, big advertising agency. An account executive makes a presentation to someone he wants as a client, and the client promises to get back to him.
Does it have to be advertising?
Well, that's not the problem. The account executive keeps waiting for the client to call him back, to tell him what he thought of the idea, to tell him if he got the job. And the client doesn't call him. The account executive gets so pissed off, so frustrated, that he decides to drive the client crazy.
What does he do?
Wait, here's the problem. How long do you think the account executive needs to stew before he sends a postcard threatening to kill the client?
Does it have to be advertising?
How long?
Well, if it were me,
A month?
5. 5 months. To kill, 5 months.
That's what I said.
Who's the writer?
I don't know.
You don't know the writer who's pitched you the story.
A couple of kids William Morris sent over, TV writers.
She looks at him, puzzled by his first response. She reaches for a script in her bag beside the bed.
Back to work.
He gets his own script and they read, side by side. Interior, Jan's office day. He comes out of his office with a script.
Could you get this copied for me?
How about tomorrow?
I need it now. I want to give it to this Australian director I'm seeing tonight.
It's not in your date book.
Jan, I forgot.
Don't do that to me.
She leaves. When she shuts the door, Griffin locks it behind her and starts to go through all the drawers and file cabinets in the room. He finds what he's looking for, last year's date book. He unlocks the door and goes into his office, shutting the door to Jan's office. Interior, Griffin's office day. He goes through the date book. He counts back 5 months.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The calendar is dense with names, canceled meetings, travel plans, breakfast, dinner appointments, screenings. He taps his pen beside a few names.
Where are you, you son of a bitch? Is it you? Is it you?
He takes a Writers Guild directory from a shelf next to his desk and matches unfamiliar names. He makes a short list: Danny Ross, Stuart Kaufman, Sandra Portenza, Alan Baer. He gets up and races back to Jan's office. He gets last year's telephone logs. Back to his desk, he goes down phone log, name, phone number, time called, and time returned. He looks down the time returned column, a few blanks. He turns the calendar in the phone log ahead another month and finds a week with 10 unreturned calls. David Kahane. He turns to the next week, 5 unreturned calls, David Kahane. The next week, 2 calls, David Kahane. He checks Kahane's name in the Guild directory. He's there, under credits, a blank space.
Gotcha!
Jan knocks on the door. Griffin dumps everything from the desk into the wastebasket as she comes into the office with 2 copies of the script. She's aware that he's been interrupted, that he's guilty about something, that he's hiding something.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
The script?
Thanks.
Exterior, Burbank Studios, night. Everyone's going home. We see Griffin in his office reading a script. Jan comes in. Interior, Griffin's office, night. Jan and Griffin.
Night.
Night.
She leaves. He picks up the phone. He dials. Interior, June's house, evening. June Mercator, 30. She's smart. She's strong. She has a sense of humor and irony. She's wearing a loose t-shirt and running shorts, and she's drinking a beer. The phone rings. Intercut with Griffin.
Hello?
David Kahane, please.
He's not in.
Oh,
Who's calling?
Griffin Mill.
Now it's my turn to say oh.
I promised David I'd get back to him.
I didn't know he'd seen you.
Well, it's been a while.
Do you always work until 7:30?
Sometimes until 10. How late does David work?
I don't think I should give away trade secrets. He'd kill me if I told you that.
Is he the violent type?
Well, you know, he's a writer. He gets drunk before dinner and throws empty vodka bottles at my head.
Griffin likes her. Something between them is already sparking.
And who are you?
My name is June Mercator.
You in the business?
Babysitting writers? No. I'm an art director for Wells Fargo.
That's show business, isn't it?
Pay stubs of interest rate brochures is show business.
You have to make the public happy.
I have to make my bosses happy.
Will David be back soon?
He went to the movies.
You don't go.
They're all the same. If they don't end in a chase, they end with a contest, and if they don't end with a contest, they end with revenge.
What about love stories?
Someone gets hurt.
What about comedies?
Only if they're really stupid.
So what's your husband seeing tonight?
My boyfriend is seeing The Bicycle Thief.
And why didn't you go?
I've seen it 3 times.
Is it that good?
No wonder I don't go to the movies anymore. You run a movie studio and you've never seen The Bicycle Thief?
I'm just giving America what it wants.
Not this American.
I'll try harder for you.
Much obliged.
Tell David I called.
Roger and out.
Griffin smiles and hangs up the phone. She was fun. Then he grabs the LA Times from his coffee table, the calendar section, and scans the movie ads. The Bicycle Thief is playing at the Rialto in Pasadena. Exterior, Pasadena Freeway, night. Griffin driving. Exterior, Pasadena, night. Griffin passes the Rialto Theater, double bill, The Bicycle Thief, and Open City. Griffin parks on the street, the next block down. Exterior, Rialto Theater, night. Griffin buys his ticket from the ticket girl.
When does The Bicycle Thief start?
It's almost over. You can see Open City, but you've missed The Bicycle Thief.
Big crowd tonight?
No.
The Bicycle Thief. Towards the end of the movie, outside the soccer stadium, the father tells the son to go away and he steals a bike. The father is slow and he's chased and caught. The father and son are let go by the bike's owner who refuses to press charges against such a poor man. The father and son continue walking and crying. The end. Interior Rialto, night. The lights come up. Griffin is in the back row, a few seats in from the aisle. A small crowd of slightly depressed film lovers dressed in dark clothes, 10 people. Griffin studies them, an older couple, a few women, couples together, and here comes a single white man, the right age. Griffin approaches him, tentatively.
David Kahane?
I don't think so.
He passes, and then behind him we see David Kahane, 32, wire-framed glasses, plaid shirt, dark straight hair. He's scowling. Griffin falls in behind him. Interior Rialto lobby, night. Kahane goes into the bathroom. Griffin waits in the lobby, pretending to study a film poster. Kahane comes out, drying his hands on his pants. Griffin turns and then acts surprised to see him.
David. David Kahane. Griffin Mill.
I know who you are.
Don't you love the classics?
You couldn't get a screening of it yourself?
It's not the same. People, popcorn, these neat old theaters.
You're not thinking of doing an American remake of The Bicycle Thief.
You want to write it?
You'd give it a happy ending.
What's wrong with happy endings?
Oh, what's wrong with sad endings? What's wrong with tragedy?
The audience wants escape.
So do I. See you around.
God damn it, I didn't. Did I?
What?
What a jerk. I never got back to you on that idea you pitched me last fall. It's been 5 months.
No, you didn't.
Exterior Rialto, night. The two men are on the sidewalk. There's an awkward moment.
I guess you're going home now.
Well, what did you have in mind, Mr. Mill?
Dinner?
I've eaten.
Let's let the studio buy us a drink.
A beer? Yeah. Follow me.
What are you working on these days?
A few things.
They walk down the street. Exterior Club Hama, night. A pod mall bar with a Japanese sign. Interior Club Hama, night. Griffin and Kahane enter a smoky bar, 50 or so Asian men in suits, a slew of hostesses, and a piano bar with a woman pianist playing Japanese standards. A drunk Japanese man holds a microphone and sings badly. A Japanese friend grabs a mic and completes the song, and he's a better singer. The men in the room are barely paying attention. The hostess comes up to Griffin and Kahane, and the writer starts talking to her in fluent Japanese. We can see that Griffin is threatened by Kahane's mastery. The hostess leads them to a table, joking with Kahane. When they're seated,
Beer okay?
Beer's fine.
2 beers.
she nods and leaves.
You ever been to Japan?
Once, on a location scout with Steven Spielberg.
I lived there for a year. Student year abroad.
I wish I'd done that.
The businessman stops singing. The pianist improvises a little background music.
I think about it all the time.
You should write about it.
The beers arrive, 2 tall bottles of Kirin.
When did you change your mind?
What?
My idea about an American student in Japan. That was my pitch. You don't remember, do you?
I remember.
You called my house from your office at 7:30. You couldn't have seen the whole movie. You came to the theater looking for me.
No.
Right after you hung up, I called home. I just got into the theater. I thought I'd lost my briefcase, and I wanted to let my girlfriend know it was in the car. She told me you were looking for me. Why did you call? What are you doing here?
I'm apologizing.
For what? All your shitty movies?
I said I'd get back to you.
But you didn't.
Kahane gets up and walks to the piano bar. He whispers something in Japanese to the pianist. She's delighted by his Japanese, and she starts to play the opening chords of Goldfinger. Everyone in the club stops talking and listens. At one point, Kahane faces Griffin and sings to him, showing off. Griffin can't look him in the eyes. Kahane finishes to wild applause. He bows to Griffin, then drops $5 and the pianist sniffed her. She refuses, he makes her keep it. As Kahane leaves the bar, the bad singer grabs the microphone and in Japanese starts singing From Russia with Love. Everyone in the room boos and he stops. The pianist leaves the piano and puts on a tape. The pianist passes Griffin. Griffin taps her arm.
Was he singing about me?
Are you Goldfinger?
No.
Then don't worry about it.
Griffin goes back to his table and finishes his bottle of beer and then bolts out of the club. Exterior street, night. Griffin looks for Kahane. Kahane is up the block, crossing the street to a parking lot behind the Rialto. Griffin runs after him. Kahane is passing through an alley when Griffin calls to him.
David!
What do you want?
You sing very well.
Let's put out an album.
Kahane starts to walk into the dark, empty parking lot. Griffin follows. They come to Kahane's car, a new black Saab with the dealer's sticker still on the window.
New car.
How can a guy you never heard of buy a $25,000 car?
Lighten up, okay?
So what'd you come out here for?
I thought you were sending me postcards. Maybe not you, but someone like you, and I thought, well, this is crazy.
And you thought what?
And I thought that if I...
What?
I thought that if I told you I was sorry, that it would make everything right, and that the person who's been sending me the cards...
You mean you'd make a ritual apology to me? And the gods would forgive you for all your sins for wasting everybody's time?
Right.
How do you find me?
You called my office 1,000,000 times and I never got back to you.
No, you didn't.
Kahane opens his door and starts to get in.
Are you going to tell people about running into me?
I wish I had a car phone.
Griffin puts a hand on his arm.
Please. Friendship.
Friendship? You think you're my friend because you bought me a beer with the studio's money? Fuck you.
He grabs Griffin's hand and takes it off his arm.
Keep your hands off me. Keep your hands to yourself.
He pushes Griffin away.
Hey, don't push.
I'll do what I want.
He gets out of the car and he menaces Griffin. He pushes his shoulder.
I can't believe you didn't even remember the story you came to apologize for rejecting.
Because it wasn't any good, that's why. I can tell you're a fucking loser. You don't even have a movie made. Don't you know you're losing?
Kahane pushes him again.
What do you know about me? You don't know fucking squat.
Griffin
And
pushes Kahane.
I know you're a loser, that's all I need to know.
Oh, we'll see.
What does that mean?
We'll see what people say about you when I tell them how fucking sick you are.
Don't.
Griffin grabs Kahane. Kahane pushes Griffin back. Kahane starts to get into the car. Griffin puts his on the door and Kahane slams the door on it. Griffin pulls it open and Kahane pushes him again. Griffin grabs Kahane and throws him against another car. Griffin sees the reflection in a window. It's like lovers, dancers. The two men struggle.
I could have you arrested for assault.
I want to forget about this. I want you to forget about it.
That's impossible.
He pushes Griffin back and they go rolling onto the ground. Griffin is on the bottom. He has his hands on Kahane's throat. The rest happens like a terrible car crash. Unstoppable, inevitable.
No, you're not going to tell. You're not going to tell.
Yes,
You're not going to tell. You're not going to tell.
Kahane resists. Griffin loses his grip, goes for him again. He rolls with Kahane onto Kahane's chest and he keeps on choking him.
Keep it to yourself, goddammit. Keep it to yourself.
Fuck you!
Their eyes lock. Griffin can't stop himself. He's killed Kahane. He gets off the body. The exhaustion is almost sexual. He looks around. No one has seen the killing. He grabs Kahane's wallet and takes off his watch, then rolls the body under the Saab. He crouches below window level of the cars in the lot, finally comes up a few rows away, stays in the shadows until he reaches the sidewalk. Exterior freeway night, Griffin driving. He throws Kahane's watch onto the road where it shatters. Exterior gas station night. He pulls into a gas station, drives by a dumpster. He looks through Kahane's wallet and sees a picture of a thoughtful, pretty woman, June Mercator. Then he throws the wallet away. Exterior Beverly Glen night. Griffin driving up cool Beverly Glen up a side road to his house. Exterior Griffin's house night. Griffin pulls into the driveway. Interior Griffin's bathroom night. Griffin in his bathroom. He looks at himself in the mirror. He's a murderer now. He opens the medicine chest. He has a vial of halcyon. He taps one out, then he taps them all out. Suicide? No. He flushes them down the toilet. He empties a vial of Valium down the toilet too. Fade out. Exterior Griffin's house morning. Griffin goes outside for the paper. He opens the paper, and out drops a postcard. Unstamped. Hand-delivered. Hawaii. The message.
Griffin, when will you get back to me?
Griffin sinks to the lawn and turns the postcard around in his hands. It's not over. He has killed the wrong man.
Avete ascoltato una fantasia di motivi tratti dalla colonna sonora del film diretto da Vittorio De Sica, Ladri di biciclette.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.